I'm turning into a ghost. That's probably better. Maybe a little too dark, but it's fine. Nah, it's too dark. Aha! That's good enough. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're muted. It's fine.
My problem is the only natural light I can let in comes from that little window up there, which you saw what that did to me last week.
Right in your eyeballs.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Internet. We're here.
Yes. Hi.
We're doing it.
I guess.
We're doing something.
Hold on. You might want to check your phrasing on that there, Boston.
We're doing a podcast.
We're doing it on the internet? Like,
we are. We are definitely, yep, it's the most family-friendly thing. Doing it on the internet. Hello.
I'm trying to drink and not laugh here.
Oh, man. Okay. I got my What You've Been Playing. Got all 400 games releasing this week.
What's going on, dude? Like, why?
Got my notes. I am ready if you are.
Fucking no, but that's never made a difference before.
It's true.
When are we going to do the Dune movie, Boston?
God, man. Yeah, man. I don't know. We're running real close to the red line on, or real close to our schedule for the critical misses because of season 24's movement. So,
Uh-huh.
Hello, Favorer. Yeah. Any hoozle.
I only asked that because the case is like right here.
Yeah, mine is, I think, in my entertainment stand downstairs, so. Okay. Are you ready to get started?
Sure, why not, I guess.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hi.
The NIP is out on assignment again this week. Let's talk about patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Get all the exclusive early access, behind the scenes, uncensored, cool stuff over there on the Patreon page. The $5 a month is the recommended tier. That gets you everything. Anything above and beyond that, of course, is greatly appreciated. You get exclusive access to things like The Outcast, where we're talking about everything else that's going on in our lives except for video games. Got some home repair this week. Got some talking some yang about the internet overall. Talk about some exercise stuff if I remember to put that in the episode, which hopefully I will now that I've mentioned it 3 times. And that is exclusive and uncensored on the Patreon page. There's also exclusive and uncensored stuff over there for the Critical Misses production meeting. Moon and I are talking about what we're planning for upcoming seasons on the Patreon feed right now. We're deep into season 23, so pretty soon we'll be posting the season 24 planning take 2 episode. Listen to that for why it's take 2. And you get early access to We Rogue Like It and Critical Misses and stuff like that. You also get exclusive access to The Wayward Sons, where Moon and Nimp are going through Supernatural TV show. It's a watch cast over there.
Yes.
Moon, why don't you show off the yellow thing on stream in question?
It's a Rathalos. It's a plushy Rathalos.
Yeah. Also, we haven't really talked about it on the show yet, but Patreon a little bit ago put a new feature in where you can get a preview of episodes that we post up there. You can get like the first 5 or so minutes of each one's there if you're not a patron. So if you've ever been thinking about joining up, usually the first 5 minutes is going to give you a pretty good indication of what you're going to get. So if you want to check out some of that content before joining, you can do that all over there at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers. Also, that is a very good way to point your friends in the right direction too.
Oh my
Because now
goodness.
they have the preview option.
That's right. Just a little taste. A little taste before you get
Mhm.
in there. Yeah. All right, Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
So, hi, my voice is going already. This is going to be a
here we go.
fantastic episode.
Yeah.
So you know how I have two basic modes for the show, where it's like, yeah, I played the same 2 games for 7 weeks.
Right.
And then I just come in and drop a gaming bombshell on everybody about the 7 games I've been playing.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about the 7 games I've been playing, Boston.
Oh boy, okay, because I have 5.
Okay, so we both had the same mode this week.
5-star runtime.
And that's
I'm-
just with releases. That doesn't even include the games.
That's right. I might have 5 games for a different reason than you do, so I'm really interested to hear your list. Because I have a theme to mine that I sort of stumbled upon.
Okay, you have a theme to your games? I don't have a theme. All
Sort
my
of
themes-
accidentally.
Okay. So let's get the obvious ones out the way first and foremost. So Marvel Snap, that's fine. I played that. I'm already at rank 95, and it's only two weeks into the new
There
season.
we go. We're getting there.
But the same thing happened last season, and then I didn't get to 100 until 30 minutes before the season ended. So
That's true.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Did you play much of Starfield?
Yes. That is...
Okay. Let's get Starfield out the way right at the top of the show.
That is one of my theme games here. Is
Okay.
my theme is I'm
space?
struggling with a lot of the games that I'm playing right now. And Starfield, I'm struggling with a whole lot.
Okay.
How
Do you think the luster has been like shone off, and it's now just a dull gray thing for you as you're playing it now?
Yeah, because I think the question that I'm asking myself now is, do I want to keep playing this? Because I'm
Okay.
really not enjoying the Crimson Fleet quest line, and then the idea of doing more of the temples to get like the main storyline
Stuff. Yeah.
sounds like a punishment, and I'm almost at the end of the Crimson Fleet questline. I kind of want to see where it wraps up, but I feel like I'm going into yet another really long mission. I really don't want to do that.
So I started the Crimson Fleet.
Okay. How did you start it?
I started it by completing the UC introduction. Like, so when you sign up to be a member of the UC fleet, you do the quest on the planet where the thing is. Which I think is fantastic. That quest, I really like that quest.
That frozen planet.
Don't know if the farming planet where they're trying to set up the farm.
Oh, yep.
That quest. I did that quest. And then after I did that quest, you were like, okay, we need you to take this data on this thing to this person who can, figure out what's going on, because what happened here is very unusual.
Yeah.
Or you can go speak to the guy over at UC SysDef, and he has a special mission for you, which I recommended.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I got I got 2 paths in that quest, essentially, and I went and spoke to UC SysDef, and that is what led me to the Crimson Fleet.
Oh, okay. Because I know that was one of the questions last week where I think you had asked me, like, how do you start that? And I'm like, I have no idea. Great question.
But that brings me on to one of the things I did want to say. The lock and key is an absolute incredible, I love...
It's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea, and I love the setting of the lock.
Yep.
The whole concept behind what it is and what it was used for and everything else is a really great setting. The story is kind of whatever. It's like
it's pretty... It goes about as you'd expect.
Yeah, but but the setting itself, the purpose of the building and the place where it is just like, this is great. really like this whole thing. I like exploring that places. I think Matthias has possibly the worst video game Irish accent I've ever heard in my life.
It's pretty bad.
It's not pretty bad, dude. It's absolutely horrific. Like,
Yeah.
it is...
I think Danny O'Dwyer had posted something on Twitter about, like, boy, just went with this. Huh? Okay, that sure is an accent. Yep.
It's not great, we'll say.
No.
As someone who grew up over the water from Ireland,
Yeah.
I'm not great with accents at the best of times, but even I can tell that is a shoddy accent right off the get-go.
Yep.
I do like the key, though. Like, the key as a setting, like the home of the Crimson Fleet, I do like that place a lot. One of the things I love the most about it is it has 7 shops, all within really tight range of each other.
That's
so
true.
when I need to sell some stuff, guess where I'm going next?
That's right. Pick up some Digipicks.
Yes, buy a bunch of Digipicks and then sell all of the 17 guns I picked up because I cannot stop myself.
I just stopped picking up anything if it isn't like Digipicks or credits or medkits. Not even picking it up. I've somehow broke myself for that.
Boston is I'm also down this rabbit hole of I want to build a ship.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to build a very good big ship, which
Right.
means that I'm probably going to need about 500k worth of credits. Minimum.
Yeah, got to build that gummy ship. It's not cheap.
It's really not. It's also really bad for your teeth.
That's true. It's true.
But it's right now I'm doing these quests so I can get money so I can basically build the ship I want to build because I'm putting more hours into the game to get over the systems in the game that make me want to spend less time playing the game.
I know. I understand completely what you mean. Yes.
It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. If
Right.
that makes sense. So like right now, I'm building up money so I can build a bigger ship, a better ship for me, with more storage, so that I can then use that storage to pick everything up and throw it in my ship. So then I have that with me at all times.
You have your flying like pack rat ship.
Exactly. I want a camel with wings. That is what I'm looking forward
That's
to
right.
here.
That's right.
So I just need to find a camel, give it some Red Bull, and then I'm sorted.
Yep.
Weirdest analogy I've ever made. But so far, like the Crimson Fleet seems to be fine. Like you said, it's very machismo BS.
And like mustache twirling of like, yeah, we're evil. I'm gonna kick this puppy. I kicked that puppy.
And I really just want to shoot that guy in the face, like the leader of the place.
Oh, he's the worst. Like every time you're like, sounds good, boss, and he's like, yeah, it better sound good. Do what I tell you. It's like, I already said, shut up. I already said yes. Leave me alone. I'm doing it right now.
Or you be like, you best pay me, and he's like,
right,
no,
right. And it's just like, oh, okay, sure.
Okay, fine, whatever, I guess. But no, I have the info on the thing that he's looking for, so I'm gonna go take care of that at some point.
I like the idea of where the quest line is going. Like I like the idea that there's this inaccessible place that you have to figure out how to get to, and you're kind of like putting all the pieces together of how to get to this place. Like I like that idea, but every step in the way is just like, all of you need to shut up. I went through a mission this week where I had to like infiltrate a place, and it went bad.
Is it the heist mission? Like the heist mission?
No. So the like rich people heist mission was actually really cool. That went off without a hitch at all. Like that went super well. Like a couple quests later, you have to infiltrate like a marine base to steal like one of the things that will get you to the place. It went wrong immediately, and I just had to go through guns blazing through that entire. I blew through what's probably like 100 people in that place. It was bad, and I got back to SecDef, and they were like, "I can't believe you killed so many of our people. How dare you?" And then 2 seconds later, they're like, "Anyways, back to the mission. You're doing great. We're really happy with this infiltration." It's just like, wait, hold on. That's not Okay. I see where the like pieces didn't fit together correctly, but
Yeah.
okay. It's killed a lot of people.
What would have been good for that kind of moment is if the leader of the sector, the fella who gives you all of the missions,
Mhm.
if he says, "I ain't dealing with you for a while, go talk to my LT," and you have
Yeah,
to deal with the
exactly.
lieutenant for a couple of
I'm
missions.
too mad to deal with you. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I'm
I still like
struggling.
Andrea, by the way. Andrea is
She's
probably
fun.
my favorite person because part of being with the pirates, but also part of not having Sarah Morgan follow me around like a lost puppy,
Mhm.
means that I can now be a little bit snarky when I answer. So
Right.
anytime I'm snarky with people, she absolutely adores it. And
Andrea's
as
like,
a
"Yeah,
British
get him."
person, it speaks to my cold, dead heart that
Right.
I get to be snarky to these people.
Yeah.
And she seems to like it a lot, and that's great because like it's so much better than. The worst part is Sarah Morgan's like loyalty mission is genuinely a great mission. It's
Yeah.
genuinely a great mission, but you have to deal with Sarah Morgan to deal with it, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Minor spoilers. I have a new member of Constellation because of that mission.
Oh wow, cool. That's interesting.
That's why it's a great mission.
Yeah. Wow.
So I know most people are not going to want to deal with Sarah Morgan. So if you want to YouTube that mission and see how it goes, that's fine. But if you want to do it, I would recommend it. But figure out if dealing with Sarah Morgan is worth your time because
Right.
most people it's probably not going to be worth dealing with.
Yeah.
But no, Andrea seems to be the way to go for me. Like she seems to be the companion I'm making the most
Yeah.
leeway with. I do like the fact that I finally got face tech thanks to the Crimson Fleet, though.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Yep.
is, if you've seen anybody who's got those like microchips stapled into the side of their face,
Yep.
I got my first instance of being able to buy that because of the Crimson Fleet stores, which is very useful. And Boston,
Oh boy. Yeah.
it is time for a section where I like to call maybe I'm old, but
Okay.
I hope this is just me being exhausted and tired.
What are the kids doing this week that's making you mad?
Now, it's specifically two things to do with this game which are genuinely helpful, but I didn't realize.
Okay.
Okay, so when you hit the start button, the hamburger button, whatever you want to call it, you
Mhm.
hit that button and you get the main menu, like the
That like
ship,
radial
the
menu.
planet. Yeah, you get that thing.
Yep.
I didn't realize you could literally just hit X from there to set a course to your current mission.
Oh god, I had no idea. I would always go into like the missions to select
Into
a
the
mission
missions,
to do.
into the mission, and then set course.
Okay. That would
If
have
you
been
hit the
nice to
start
know.
button and then hit the X button, it just sets that to your course to
Even
your current
faster
mission.
fast travel.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
I
I
didn't
was
know that
doing
either.
exactly what you would do when going into the missions, and then
Yep.
from the mission, selecting the mission, then selecting the set course button, and then going in from there.
Still pretty fast,
Literally,
but not as fast.
you hit start, you hit X, and you go on.
Oh boy.
You set the course to where the mission is. So
Okay.
maybe I'm not old, or maybe we're both old.
Maybe-
I don't know.
Maybe I don't want the answer to that.
I have a second part of maybe I'm old,
Boy.
but
Okay.
whenever you get a status effect on your character, it's like, oh, you have a broken leg, so you need to fix it.
Yeah.
At this point, I know because I've done it so many times, you need immobilizers to fix a broken leg.
Mm-hmm.
I know that because I would go in and scroll through all of the med items, reading the description for what they heal.
Okay.
When you're in the aid section, it has your health bar on the right-hand side with a shape and a color.
Yeah. Like a triangle that's orange or something. Yep.
Yes, as you're scrolling through the aid items, it shows that color on the things that it heals, so you can just do a direct color match rather than read the text for every single aid item, which is what I was doing.
That one I did know, but I don't know if
I didn't.
Told you or not.
It doesn't.
Okay.
So I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, and the only reason I know that is because I essentially picked up an item which heals everything, and it had all of the triangles on it, and I was like, wait, is this?
Wait a minute. It's got 6 different triangles on it. What's this
Apparently,
about?
I really am that stupid, because then when I was scrolling through trying to fix my broken leg, I was like,
Maybe that's the same way that I did it, where it's like, why does this have a bunch of triangles on it?
potentially, because then when I got lung damage from hanging around a stupid geyser too much,
Yeah.
it. Did you know you can collect the stuff at caves on planets as well, Boston? That you can't collect it while you're in your scanner?
I don't think I've been in more than one cave, so
Or like
no.
on a planet. So you know when you're on a planet and you see like a rock and it's like, this is iron, and you
Mm-hmm.
like
Give
break
it
it
the
with
old
your
zap.
laser tube.
Oh yeah, like you can
Uh,
pick stuff up from plants and stuff.
but from like a gas geyser, and it'll be like, oh, this is chlorine gas coming out here.
Oh, I had no idea you could pick that up.
And you know how when you're in the scanner view, you can see like a blue like source for it?
Yeah,
You can pick up a bunch of stuff from it, but you just
I had
can't do it
no
while you're in
idea.
the scanner view.
No idea.
The game
Like
doesn't tell you this.
one of my big frustrations about this game is I don't inherently mind a game that has encumbrance. I think it could lead to, I know that's like a hot take, but I think it can lead to interesting stuff. I kind of like that puzzle of like, does this thing really matter? Is this a big upgrade? Is this a big enough upgrade even though it's really heavy, stuff like that? But for a game that's so focused on crafting and mining and picking stuff up, all of that stuff you're picking up, especially ores and stuff, is way too heavy. Like, I understand that ores are heavy, but from a gameplay perspective, if you want me to craft anything, that stuff has to weigh nothing. Otherwise, I'm not picking up any of it.
Here's a fun one for you. I have a piece of pants, or my spacesuit, has a buff on it which reduces all resources by 50% weight.
All right, there you go.
So I'm probably carrying about 600 kilos worth of stuff right now, but I'm only actually carrying 300.
Yep.
You don't care about achievements, right, Boston?
In a game like this that has achievements that are, I feel like, attainable, I usually look at the list and go, yeah, oh, I could do all of those. Yeah, that would be all right. But there are some games where I look at it and I was like, I'm not crafting 500 things. I'll craft 5, but I'm not going to craft like 500 things. So it really depends, but usually not that much.
Okay, and you've done most of the subquests for like the faction stuff, right?
Yep, yeah.
If you go on, because Starfield has cross-play, cross-save, if you go on the PC version, use console commands to increase your weight capacity.
Okay.
It will disable achievements. But then when you save and quit that game and load it on your Xbox, it still has the thing implemented, so it breaks the console command works on the PC and then transitions to the save on your Xbox too.
Also, like, can we stop disabling achievements for single player games because you used a console? Like, come on.
Which is ironic because Fallout 3 is famously one of those PC games where you can load it up, open the console command and be like, unlock achievement 1, unlock achievement 2, unlock
I'm going
to
paste this thing in there. And like, if you want to do that, who cares? Like, that's frustrating.
Well, for those of you who don't care about achievements out there, that is an option for you to potentially make Starfield a more enjoyable experience for yourself.
And I am playing on PC. I'm playing on PC through my Steam Link. So I probably could just install a bunch of mods to like take off the weight limits and faster something. Who knows? But
at the same time, why?
Yeah, like
I was actually listening to Remap on this, and Patrick's Klapik's theory on this is the reason why the encumbrance is there is because the shops only have a certain amount of money. So you have to put encumbrance on people so they don't hit that cap the shop has the money on.
Right.
Unless you're like me and you just carry everything and then go sleep for 48 hours and then go back to the shop and continue selling.
Right.
Which is my solution.
Yeah, my big takeaway this week is I have a lot of stuff I still want to play, a lot of stuff on my pile that I'm looking forward to starting. Why shouldn't I just start that stuff and hopefully
wrap this up as quick as possible?
Or like I'm thinking about just not finishing it because like I'm really not enjoying any part of it, and so many people online are saying like, yeah, it's fine, but then you really want to push to new game plus 10, and that's where the thing really starts. And I'm like, I already played Destiny. Like, I already have a problem with a game of like, oh, you just do X number of things and then the real game starts. Like,
you also already played Final Fantasy 14, I believe it was.
I didn't play 14. No, I'm avoiding 14 because that's
whichever one was the straight line for 40
oh, that's
hours
13 of like begins. Yeah, at 40 hours it gets really great, and it's like, yeah, I don't know if I can do that anymore. So I don't know. I'm struggling with it because I feel like I want to finish it to see the whole thing through, and especially potentially put it on my top 10 list this year. I don't know where, but I also like don't want to just finish it to say I finished it. You know?
Yeah, you're not me. You don't have the same brainworms that I do, where I have to do it.
Well, and like I'm looking at Starfield, and then I look at these games in front of me. Cyberpunk, which is now fixed, and I bought for like $5. I could play that. I could play Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is apparently incredible, or I could play Final Fantasy 6. I can't get into Baldur's Gate 3 because I don't have like 200 hours, and I know I'd get all the way into that. And I'm sort of waiting for them to fix the third act on that game. But also Final Fantasy 16. Like a brand new mainline Final Fantasy game comes out that people feel pretty iffy about overall, but I could be playing that instead of struggling through Starfield. So it's tough.
And this is the ironic thing, is I spent so much time base building that I've probably put more hours into this than you, but you are 10 times further than me in the story.
Right.
I've only started one faction quest, and that's the Crimson Fleet.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I'm still enjoying it. You are right, though. Neon might be one of the best visually looking locations.
So cool. Yep.
I do like the whole thing around Aurora and Neon. How like it is a drug that you can use, but you can only use it on Neon, and it's only sold at one place.
Yep.
And it was approved by an independent inquiry, which was sponsored by the company who makes it.
Yeah. Wink.
Like, sure.
Yeah.
Data can be made to say a lot of things.
That's right.
One might say.
That's right.
Neon was great. I did do the mission that you actually have on screen right now, because part of doing that mission is you get a cockpit which I want for my ship.
Okay.
So that's part of the fun of this game, is doing this kind of stuff.
Getting all the parts together.
Because I want a ship that I can... Because right now my ship is basically a factory with engines. Not a factory, a warehouse with engines is what it is. Where it's literally a cockpit and then a big, huge box of shipping containers and then 2 engines on the backside.
Right, enough to propel it through space.
Yes, essentially. Yeah. And it's not very good in a dogfight, so like... Maybe joining the Crimson Fleet was not the best idea.
Right.
Because I can't really, shoot things down at the moment.
Right.
But I'm trying to get my experience points up so that I can increase my levels in piloting and starship design.
Right.
So I can use that to build the better ship, so I can literally cruise through the game. And this is the worst part, is this is just me finding busybody work for myself.
Yeah.
Where I probably could just beat the game exactly how I am right now.
But you could build the cool ship.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I also have Elite Dangerous sitting right there on my hard drive.
That's true. That's true.
I can't build ships in that one, though, but I can sure as hell fly them a lot better than I can in here.
It's true. You could play some more No Man's Sky. That's always good.
Nope. I'm good. I'm
not back in there.
No, I didn't see a sandworm. I don't need to see a sandworm. That is where I come on that front. Anything else for Starfield for yourself?
No, I'm good.
Speaking of sandworms, my second game is Dune. Spice Wars. Bet you wasn't expecting that one, Boston.
No.
So let's get this out the way right at the top. I don't think I've ever really played a hardcore 4X game before.
Okay.
The closest I've ever been to that is Civ Rev, one might say.
Okay.
Which is Civ Rev a 4X game?
I think it's... I don't know.
It's like a 3X game?
Maybe. I don't know. I think it's maybe like a more casual kind of like introduction to 4X. When I think of 4X, I think of like Civilization, Stellaris, some like those types of kind of overhead. Dune, Spice Wars certainly seems like a 4X. Those kind of games.
Oh. So, for those of you who are unaware or not patrons, there's been an issue with critical misses, we'll say. And where we had a season planned, that season has been rescheduled due to circumstances beyond our control.
Yep.
Pay your writers, Hollywood. Thank you very much.
That's right.
So I'm about to throw a bunch of lingo down here.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Boston should understand most of it.
Okay.
Because it's all related to Dune, obviously, but it's all Dune in a 4X situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm assuming, I don't know how this goes, but are 4Xs not huge army games like RTS games previously were? Or is it they can be?
I think they can be like late game. When I think of 4X games, for me, I think of Stellaris, and like you could have a ton of huge armies at the end of the game, but it always seems like it's not like 4X games where you have like 400 units. It's like I have 10 units, and they have like a bajillion strength apiece. So like these 10 spaceships are just, or like one spaceship on the map is 1,000 starfighters in that one little unit. Yeah.
Okay. So this has a similar thing where one unit is actually like 5 guys or 10 guys or whatever the case may be. So it's like a platoon.
Right.
Whatever the correct terminology is for that kind of thing.
Who knows?
It's not a battalion because that's bigger, I think.
Okay.
It's very... So far I've done the tutorials, which are about 4 minutes long and don't tell you half of the terminology you need.
Great. Okay.
I don't know what knowledge is. I don't know what guild favors are. I know what they are technically speaking. I just don't know what they are in the game sense of the word. I didn't know how to get spies. I don't know how to implement spies. I don't know how to use assassins. The skill tree is all kinds of messed up. Like it's just like none of this is explained in the tutorials. The tutorials are basically like, here is how you move the map. Here is how you go to different locations.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun.
Good luck.
Enjoy trying to understand the rest of the game yourself.
To me, that's part of the fun of playing 4X games sometimes is sort of like, oh, okay, I need to do diplomacy. Okay, let me do a deep dive on how I do that. And for me, good 4X games will have, like, you go in the diplomacy menu and there's kind of a more in-depth tutorial about that feature that you can then kind of learn while you're playing the game. But I don't think that's always the case for a lot of games.
So I haven't bumped into diplomacy yet. The only thing I know, because I did the tutorials, I've started one game, and I'm like maybe 4 months into this one game so far.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I know about diplomacy is I'm playing House Atreides, and they have a non-aggression pact with the smugglers. That's all I know.
Okay.
Which makes sense based on the setting and who I'm playing as. The Chome exists in this, Boston.
Yep.
And it's a stock market where you buy and sell stocks in Chome.
Okay. That's clever.
But it only opens like once every month or so, and then you have to figure out how much money you want to spend on that. The Landsrat exists.
Okay.
And the Landsrat is basically, what's that thing in Animal Crossing where you have an edict, and is that the word? Is it edict?
I don't remember.
you set a rule basically, and then that is the rule until you change it, essentially.
Right.
So the Landsrad in this is very much that, where it's like 3 things come up for vote.
Mm.
And you have to vote on whether you approve or disapprove of it. And it can be like military units take 30% longer to be built.
Mm-hmm.
Economic things take 30% less time. This particular house or faction has -1 spice production for the next period.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you have votes, which are based on your size and your influence within the Landsrad, to sway that how you do it. But every faction in the game gets to do those votes.
Yeah, so everybody's kind of like influencing and pushing and pulling.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So you can vote. Like there was one which was like, this one faction gets like 20% increased Solaris for the next, because they do a new vote every 30 days.
Right.
So for the next 30 days, this faction gets 30% Solaris increase. So I put myself in there and then bumped the votes as far as I could to vote for myself. But you have votes and then you have influence. So you could influence the lesser houses to vote on your behalf, but influence is a finite resource that you have to earn back over time.
Okay. There's something in Stellaris that's very similar to this. So I wonder if this is kind of a standard in 4X games.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Exploring the land is very interesting because I loved Command and Conquer, so I'm more used to an RTS than a 4X. Like that is my when it comes to this perspective of game, we'll say RTS over 4X games.
Mm-hmm.
However, as I got older, RTS appealed to me less because I don't have the reflexes all the time to do, no attack within 5 minutes.
That's right. No Zerg rush in the first 7 minutes.
Exactly.
Yep.
I say that, you know exactly what I'm talking
Don't
about.
attack harvesters.
How many of our listeners don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yep.
Because that's going to be hilarious. Yep. I did not know those rules when I first played online, and I just attacked, and it was just, dude,
what are you doing? You're attacking my harvesters? It's like, no, wait, I didn't know. Wait, I'm sorry.
Huh? Exactly that thing. Anyway, like, I'm used to making the biggest army I can and then going and exploring with it. Whereas this is like, here's 2 people. Go see what you can do with these 2 units. And
that's right. How far can you push?
It's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's my first game, so this is going to be a learning curve. And when I say a learning curve, this is actually going to be a learning mountain for me.
Yeah.
Because it's the first one I've played. The reason why I think I might do okay with this is because this is a setting I know deeply. So when it says Chom, that makes sense to me. Whereas
you already have a leg up.
Stellaris, and it would say, "Oh, this is the stock market," but give it a fancy sci-fi name.
It's the Galactic Federation, and you're like, and you do what?
Exactly. Whereas I see Chom, I know what Chom is. I see Landsrad, I know what Landsrad is. I see
that's a good
X, Y,
point.
and Z, and I know what these things are because I can translate them in my head to something that I can understand.
Right.
There's 5 factions, 6 factions. Let's find out. Atreides, faction 1. Harkonnen, faction 2.
Sure.
Obviously. Carino, faction 3.
Okay.
That's the Imperial House, by the way, Boston.
Gotcha.
The Emperor's House.
Oh.
Smugglers, faction 4.
Okay.
And the Fremen, faction 5.
Okay. Got them all.
The Fremen, whose banner picture, which you can see on the stream, is Kynes, the planetologist.
It's pretty good.
And they used the movie version of the planetologist, so I'm sure that really annoyed a whole bunch of sexists. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this game, dude. Like, you have the video playing on the stream. So across the top of the screen, there's like 15 different currencies, and I know what 2 of them do at the moment.
I feel like that's very much a 4X experience where you're like, wow, I have so many icons up there, and they all have 0, or I have 10, and I'm losing 7 a month. I guess I need to figure out what these are pretty quickly.
What's really scary is when you have limited Solaris, which is the currency in Dune. So this is what I'm talking about. I can translate Solaris as money. That's what I know that because I know Dune. you have Solaris and it's like plus 15, plus 20, plus 20, plus 20 per day or whatever. It's counting up. And it's like, cool, this is great. And then a worm sign happens.
Aha.
And you have to pull your harvester back because a worm sign has happened.
Right.
And then that goes from plus 15 to minus 40.
Right.
Minus 40. Minus
Right.
40. Minus 40. And you're like, oh no, I need to fix this.
Yeah.
So you need to then send the harvesters back out. There is the imperial tax too. So every 30 days, you have to export a certain amount of spice to the Imperium.
Right.
So you have to, basically, you can see it on the screen, Boston. In the top left corner, there's the gold and blue like line that goes across the middle. That's how you divvy the spice harvest. So gold is you sell it. The purple is you stockpile it. So you stockpile it, and then after 30 days, that part of that stockpile goes to the Imperial House.
That's really clever. Okay.
And that gets bigger every 30 days.
Okay. That's a clever way of doing that. Okay.
So you then have to figure out how much of the spice are you going to stockpile for that purpose, how much are you going to sell to make money, so you can use the money to increase your forces or build buildings that give you more manpower, that let you build more army. There's a lot going on in this. And like I said, I've barely scratched the surface of this game. I don't even know a win condition. I'm assuming one of them is kill everybody else, which I'm going to focus on for now.
Right.
Until I can figure it out. I know when I opened up the Landsrad screen, it was like, yeah, if you have these specific things, which is a certain amount of influence in the Landsrad, which you can do by getting more votes, and if you have a certain amount of knowledge, you can apply to be the Duke of Arrakis.
Okay.
And if you hold that position as Duke of Arrakis for 3 consecutive votes, so 3 months essentially in the game, you win the game.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
So that's one of the ways you can win the game. You can also win it by killing everybody else, I believe. Or if you hold all of the rights to Chome, you can become the winner of the game.
So you have your democratic war and economic
financial
victories.
I think there's 2 more as well, but I don't know what they are yet. So
oh, wild. That's cool.
I'm very curious. I did also find part of my because it's hard because it's the first time I played it. I don't know how quick to expand. I don't know what buildings I need to be focused on. Obviously, it's Dune, so water is a resource that you have to worry about.
Right.
Because why wouldn't it be? Sorry, correction. Moisture is a resource that you have to worry about. True. Using the correct Fremen terminology here.
Right.
But so I don't know what I'm doing wrong yet because I just don't. I don't know. I only just discovered how to peacefully take over a village without having to send soldiers there.
Right. That was my first big 4X game was Stellaris, and that was my favorite thing about once you lose your first couple, you're like, oh, okay, now I kind of get all the systems. This time I'm going to do a run that's only focused on expansion and see how I can learn everything about that. This next one I'm going to do diplomacy and see what I can do. This one I'm going to focus on research in the tech tree. I'm going to really focus on that and see what that does. And I feel like after a while you kind of, as you're spinning more plates, you kind of focus on how to balance all of those correctly to kind of give yourself the best chance of winning. While still realizing you're probably not going to win most of your games.
Yeah. So something I learned in the tutorials that it explains is the map is fragmented into tiny little sections, which is cool. Certain map things have certain bonuses. So there's one that has a high amount of ores. So if you build a plasteel factory there, then you get twice as much plasteel from any factories on that specific square kind of thing. And then I found one which is this has got a thermal vent, so you can do fuel cells here, where you can make a fuel cell factory, which will let you get ornithopters and things like that to help you do more stuff. I ran into a CH, which was hostile towards me.
Okay,
but then you start trading spice with water for them, so you give them water, they give you spice. And your relationship goes up with them, and then you can send an embassy, not an embassy,
like an envoy?
Yes, you can send an envoy into that CH, and then that CH has a universal perk that applies to across the whole map just for your faction.
That's cool. There's a lot of clever ideas in here.
So the only downside to that is you've taken a spy, and instead of having him researching the Harkonnens and finding out where their bases are and what their weaknesses are, so you can do damage against them, instead of having that, you now have this one universal perk. So you have to kind of balance where your spies go, and you earn spies based on how much intelligence you are generating each turn. And once you get 100, you get a spy.
Okay.
You take that spy, you put them in a location, you can get more money, more resources, more men, more manpower, more intel on the enemies.
Interesting.
And they also have like operations, which is like you spend like 100 knowledge and you get an operation, which is essentially a usable perk, which is like one of them I got was like disables all missile launchers at a home base. So if I wanted to go and attack somebody else's home base, like their home city, I could use that operation on that city for my army, and then they wouldn't be able to use the missile launchers that they have on that building.
Okay.
It's really in depth so far.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been thinking a lot about Dune, so as such, I'm wanting to play Dune. We talked about it a while ago. I think it was a pre-show. We were talking about potentially playing Dune 2000, which is dead now, like not available to buy.
Right.
And this is on Game Pass.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. And
it's on PC. And I literally said I wanted to play something on this PC because I haven't put it through its paces.
Right.
Spoiler alert, runs like silk, like smooth as butter. Like
right. We'll see what happens at the end game, but
yeah, as I would expect for the start of a 4X game, if I'm completely honest, that's absolutely fine. So I'm getting used to mouse control again. I'm getting used to all this kind of stuff that I don't normally.
All your hotkeys.
Yes, but so far it seems cool, and it's got a lot of stuff. Which, like I said, like one of the things to make me get into a game is set it in a universe where I understand the basic concepts that you're leaning on. So, like the Landsrad, you call the diplomacy screen the Landsrad. That's fine. I understand exactly what that means just from context of the thing.
Right.
Give me an RTS based in the Stargate universe, and I would know what all of the troops are called because I know all of the Stargate stuff. You know? So this might be the perfect little introduction into 4X games for me because I understand the terminology that they're using to describe a larger feature.
Right.
I'm not saying everybody should play 4X games because I don't know what your personal vibes are. But I'm very curious if Boston was to play this, how much he would actually enjoy it because it's a 4X which he likes and it's in a universe which he now has some cursory knowledge of.
Yeah. I didn't know this was on Game Pass. I might have to install this.
Yeah, I installed it because we talked about it, I think, a long time ago. I was like, yeah, it's on Game Pass, and I probably shouldn't play it, but it is. And I installed a different PC game, which I'll talk about in a second, and then saw this and was like, why not? I might as well. Let's just see how it goes.
It's free. Why not?
Yeah, it turns out it's actually really fun, too.
Nice. That's exciting. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for your Dune 4X journey.
I'm not, because it's going to kill me eventually, probably.
Maybe. Then you'll start Stellaris.
Yes, probably. Yes, which was also on Game Pass. I don't know if it is anymore.
It is on console. I don't know about PC.
Great. My other PC game I mentioned, it's called Overwhelm, which I'm pretty sure is all in capital letters, too.
Overwhelm.
Yes. This... It looks like Downwell. So if you find a game that looks like Downwell, Boston, you've got the right game.
Wait, is this... Okay, I'm real glad you're playing this. I've had this open on a tab on my phone for a couple of months saying, I gotta write this down and remember this game because it looks incredible.
Okay, so tonight, play it on Game Pass. It's on Game Pass, and it leaves Game Pass tomorrow. Just saying.
Okay.
That's why I'm playing it. Is because
Right.
it was leaving Game Pass. So I thought I'll try it. On second thoughts, maybe you don't need to play at Boston.
Okay.
Because this is a 2D side-scrolling shooter set in the art style of Downwell, like I mentioned.
Yep.
That is insanely difficult.
Yeah, when I heard the premise, that's what made me really want to play it. Because the elevator pitch is, it's a Metroidvania, but every time you defeat a boss, the enemies get stronger, and you don't.
Correct. Yep. And you have 3 lives.
Okay.
And limited ammo.
Okay.
And if you die 3 times, your save file is gone.
Oh, okay.
I will say, a little bit different here because there is accessibility options, which I used.
Okay.
Flat out, I used the accessibility option. So I gave myself infinite lives. I gave myself... it has this really cool accessibility feature where the game runs quick. Like, it is very quick. The video on stream does not do it justice because this is the underwater section. So it is slightly slower because of the underwater nature of it. But the very first thing in the settings menu is a reaction time slider.
Oh, okay.
And it starts at 250 microseconds. And it can go all the way up to 500 microseconds.
Okay.
And if you find your reaction time is a little slower, by scaling that up towards the 500 microseconds, it slows the game down as a whole. So
smart. Okay.
It is like a speed controller for the game,
right?
But based on your reaction time rather than anything in particular. The game is very difficult. I'll say I didn't even get to the first boss before it was like, this is your last life, by the way.
Oh, no.
So I was like, nope, infinite lives. I'm turning that on. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
The music is pretty great. Like, the look of the game is fantastic. Controls are fine. I struggle with the mouse and keyboard, so I just plugged the controller in and played it that way instead, which actually works pretty solid too.
Oh, nice.
And it does bumper jumper too, so you don't have to worry about letting go of the stick to shoot in a different direction. But you are correct. The core concept of the game is every time you kill a boss, the random mobs in the world gain that boss's ability.
Yep. As the game says, the hive is evolving. Yeah.
So they get faster, they get smarter, they start to climb, they spit stuff at you. And literally one hit will kill you.
So I didn't know that. Okay. Wow. Jeez.
You don't have a health bar. Like, literally, if you get hit, you die. That's why the 3 lives is so tough to me, because as soon as you get touched, you're dead.
Wow, that's rough. Okay.
That's why I went into the accessibility. Like, I'm just going to click this infinite lives button because I'm not interested. It's only about maybe an hour and a half to complete the game from start to finish. So it's a short experience, but I'm too old for this 3 lives restart the game stuff this moment in time. Especially when you have and it does say in the setting options, this game is difficult. It is too hard for most people. If that is the case, here are the accessibility options. Turn them on at your leisure.
They glad
don't affect
in there.
anything. They don't change anything. They are literally just in there because you don't want to, try and speed run this game in whatever amount of time. Conceptually, it's a really good game, and like execution-wise, I like it. The art style can be a little grating at times. There's a couple of levels that are dark and underground, so the screen goes to a very small circle around yourself, which is what makes the you take 3 hits and 1 hit and you're dead kind of thing a little bit more ridiculous,
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was stupid. It was definitely stupid.
It's actually only $10 on Steam, and it's also on Switch, which I didn't. I don't think I realized.
If you have Game Pass, you can get it for like $7.99 at the moment before it leaves Game Pass as well.
Seems like
it was a good little experience. Honestly, I would probably put it I would say happily say, yeah, if you got the $8 to spare, knock yourself out. Like,
Yeah. Try a cool, unique thing.
what's the worst that can happen? You play a game that you might not like, but you don't buy a $12 coffee that week. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
like, that's fine. But it was fun. I
It's
did
cool.
have a good time playing it. Oh boy, is it definitely difficult. It was one of those games where I would do something stupid, very much like Meat Boy, very much like Isaac.
Right.
I would make the mistake and then curse at the game.
Right. So that's
Which is
Overwhelm. Overwhelm.
Overwhelm, which is, as far as I know, it's pretty much on. It's not on baseline Xbox. It is on Xbox Game Pass on PC until the end of today, but
Yep.
it's like $10 tops if you get it after that fact.
Yep. PC and Switch.
Definitely worth the time.
Yep.
Other than that, the only thing I played was Payday 3.
Okay.
Show Rob. Payday is giving me Left 4 Dead vibes.
Yeah.
Which is to say, I could see myself replaying these levels over and over and over again, just trying to like do them differently, like push at the systems in different ways to see what causes what to happen.
And just hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, exactly. Just having a chit chat with my boys, like you know, and girls if anybody ever decides they want to play with us. But it's just chill because it's like, okay, we know how the levels start every time because they all start the same way. Here is the setup, here is the X, Y, and Z. Figure out what you want to do. It's when things go loud that things start to change and evolve and adapt. Myself and Rob, we ended up doing the very first level of the game, but we did it in such a way that we opened every security box to get the achievement for it. Well, in doing so, we only missed like 2 bags. Like we were short by 2 bags, but it was really satisfying because we executed on it pretty well. We went loud probably sooner than we should have, but that at the same time, that was like fine because we managed and controlled everything else as we're going. And this is just the 2 of us. Like,
right.
Granted, Justin being in there might have made it go loud even sooner than sooner. But it is what it is. Like it's been a good game to just be like, yeah, I don't feel like doing anything. Let's just go and look and see what we can figure out about different entrance points. And because we're leveling up and unlocking new equipment and unlocking new weapons and everything else, like we're starting to discover different ways in. So,
that's cool.
I found out that on the very first level, there's buttons at the front of the bank that you can press that shut the windows, so people outside can't see in the bank.
That's cool.
Which is a game changer.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't I think of that sooner? I could have just literally like stopped the people outside from calling the cops by pressing the button to shut the windows. You know?
Right. That's cool.
It's a stupid thing, but it's a cool thing at the same time.
Yeah.
And like just being able to push an edge against that stuff. It's like right now I'm just investing a bunch of like research into new experience, like new skills, new abilities, because I want to see what the later abilities like. I got my friendly neighborhood turret now, so that's good. So now I can just plop him down, and he will sit there and shoot away at random people who try and chase us.
Right.
So I don't know. It's just been this really cool little thing of I don't have to think. The call-outs and the box in the game are really solid, so you do hear things that are going on. Sometimes it can be a bit obnoxious, but even then, it's not that bad. Like it's just been a fun little have a chit chat, catch up on life, try and stealth this thing. Oh no, the stealth didn't happen. It went wrong. Let's just go all out.
Right.
And having the ability to execute on both of those fronts, that's the really satisfying part, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Boston, tell me about the other games that you have been struggling with.
Chaos Head Noah. I'm talking about that. I put more time into it this week, and like, main character really sucks. And
really quick.
Yeah.
What is the overall plot of the game? Because that Google equivalent is delude. So is it deluded? Is that meant to be some joke?
There's something in these games called delusions. It happened in Chaos Child as well, where In this game, your character is like such a kind of like otaku shut-in that he's like making up his own reality when he kind of gets bored. I didn't really
Oh,
like it in Chaos Child. I really don't like it in this either. Um, my biggest struggle with this game is going into Chaos Head, I knew that the main character was not great. And Chaos Child has an okay main character. Steins Gate has a really good main character because he's putting on a persona as a like a mad scientist, and it's pretty annoying, and like everybody around him finds it pretty annoying, and that kind of bleeds off as the game goes on. But there are these little flashes at the beginning of Steins Gate of his own internal monologue where he's normal, and he knows he's putting on this character, and there's a reason for it, and you don't know why yet, but there's enough internal monologue for you to sort of be like, all right, you're putting on this character for a reason I don't know yet, but that can kind of propel you forward. But this dude just kind of sucks, and I'm starting to meet new characters, and they're helping a little bit. But I was hoping at this point, a couple of hours in, you'd get over that initial hump of like, here's this unlikable main character that through getting to know more people and going through their experiences, they'll get to be a better person, but that hasn't happened yet. So
you're waiting for someone to slap him in the face and tell him to get a life.
yeah, or like
Go out and touch grass, you big weeb.
right, and like that might happen with someone doing that, or it might happen with like, I've been mistreated all of my life because of X, Y, and Z, but maybe through my relationships with other people that I can realize I don't have to be the way that I am now. I can be this other person. And I haven't run into that yet, so I'm like really struggling to get over that hump to kind of get to the good stuff. And like we've talked about before, this is about a 40-hour visual novel, so the first...
Oh, boy.
I'm still in the first act, which is usually where you're kind of dealing with all this stuff. So I didn't put as much time into it this week as I wanted to, but I'm hoping to kind of keep plugging away at it and find that point where it really clicks with me, because it probably will.
Are you hoping that it's chicken soup for the soul, kind of, rather than like, poison for your brain kind of situation?
I'm hoping it turns into like one of those fantasy novels where like the first couple of chapters are all like, in the 13th age, the forces of man. It's like, oh my god, please, this is so boring. And then like you're introduced to the main character, and you're like, all right, yeah, the adventure starts. Start this game, start this book, but maybe skim through the first 5 chapters, and you're fine.
So Lord of the Rings or Dune.
I wasn't gonna put it out there, but yeah, maybe. Next game I've been struggling with this week, Forza Motorsport 2023. This came out this week. I'm playing it on Series X because it is available on Game Pass. I don't have this installed on my PC. I didn't even think about it until I was into it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could play this with my PC, but I wanted like the Dolby Vision and stuff like that. I got to give this game a lot of credit. The very first thing it introduces you to, or the very first thing it presents you is how do you want your driving line? How do you want your assisted braking? How do you want your assisted steering? All of that stuff. That's the very first thing you run into. You don't even run into gamma, configurations and performance modes and stuff like that. The very first thing is, and they even have kind of high level categories of a really casual experience, kind of, which is like full driving line, full assisted steering and braking, and you can even turn on. I think they put this in the 2 games ago. You can even do assisted acceleration too, so you can kind of give a lot of assistance to somebody that needs it, and it's not just braking and ABS and stuff like that. I turn most of that stuff off. I have the full driving line on, but I only have ABS on, but I turned off tire wear because I don't want to deal with any of that. And And
You
then
don't want to do pit stops? Why not,
no,
Boston?
you can. There's tons of pit stops in here. And then I turned on. There's 3 graphics modes: performance, performance RT, and quality. I think they call the quality one. I have it on performance.
What does RT mean?
Ray tracing. So
you.
I have it on performance RT. That's what they call it, but it's ray tracing. That looks great. It runs at a steady 60. Ray tracing looks good, but I haven't really dealt with a lot of stuff that's going to take advantage of it.
There's a racing game. Let me correct myself here.
Yeah.
A racing game on tracks is not the place where ray tracing is going to matter. Horizon is where the ray tracing is going to be cool, when it's like driving through the forest kind of stuff.
Like I haven't really raced on anything at night where ray tracing is really going to help with some of your light sources. I haven't done any rainy thunderstorm races, so I'm not sure how much that kind of benefits, but I haven't seen anything that's really wowed me so far. Ray tracing, when done well, is really good, but I haven't seen anything yet. This was my breaking point for games I'm struggling with this week, which kind of leads into my other 2 games. You spend an inordinate amount of time in this game staring at a halfway empty screen with a screenshot on it where a person talks to you in an unskippable thing about like what a pit stop is and how you upgrade your car and make sure to not exceed the class points on this A-class car because then you can't get into this race. It's like, yeah,
we have played a racing game before, dude.
But also the UI tells you that. Like, the frustrating part is if you try to go into a race and your car is too souped up, the game will just say, your car is too strong, try and pull it back a little bit. Like, it doesn't need all of this stuff. So I'm already like, I call them shut up racing games. It's just like, shut up and let me get to the racing. Like, I don't care about any of this stuff. Thankfully, it's not like the worst parts of Horizon where it's like, yo, what's up, man? Like, comment, subscribe, let's go. It's none of that. It's a more serious racing game. It's more like Gran Turismo, but a little bit less sterile. Like, Gran Turismo can be a little bit too sterile. The thing that was making me probably go uninstall this game after we're talking about this and not play it anymore is, number one, this isn't a game for me, and I realize that. The longer the Forza Motorsport games go, the less they're for me. The more that the Forza Horizon games go, the more they're for me. I want something that's more arcadey and more fun for me. I almost said fun, but that's not fair. Because I think this game is 100% what its market is looking for, as far as I can tell, especially if you have like a racing wheel and you have a full setup and you want to play without the assists on.
You're like also not a gearhead, dude.
I'm absolutely not. So, like, the thing that's breaking me about this game, and the thing that I really don't like, is it has a career mode that seems really cool. You go through like 3, I think, races, and then you can start kind of selecting the car types and race types and categories and classes and all that stuff that you want to focus on for X number of races in one category. The thing that I really hate, and I get why they're doing it, and I don't want to deal with it, is when you go and you select a race, you have to do 3 practice laps to then go do 4 laps on that same course for the real race. So I don't mind either one of those if the practice laps are optional, but they're not. So I'm doing 3 laps on this course to then do 4 more laps.
The Formula 1 game nailed this, where it's like, here is the practice session. You can do it or not. Here is practice 2. You can do it or not. Here is qualifying. You kind of have to do it. Here
Right.
is the race. You kind of have to do it.
Yeah.
And
And
you could skip the practice sessions if you didn't. And Formula One is a lot tougher racing game than
right.
this kind of racing is.
And like if I was, and I get why they do it. If you're playing this on the super hardcore settings, you want to go learn the track and learn the corners and your line, and without all the other racers there, you want to focus on just learning the course. I just want to race a car, man. Like there's no way to skip the practice races in the career mode. It seems like there's a section where you can go just race on the courses, like on a one-off thing. Also, if you're watching the footage, you're seeing this where like, yes, I'm starting a race. Anyways, here's a tutorial. Back to the race. It's like, no, stop. I know what split times are on segments. I can figure it out. Like, so that's the thing that I'm really not liking is if I could skip the practice laps and just do the 4 laps on the course and learn it there, because I'm not playing it as a sim, I would probably play this game and I'd go through the whole career and I'd buy some cool looking cars and I'd do the thing. I can't do a race on a course to then go do another 4 laps on the course after that. That's just not how I want to play these games. But like, it controls perfectly. It looks incredible. The sound is really great. The UI is really good. The cars look incredible. Like, it has all the stuff you want out of a Forza game. It's just not for me. And that's okay. And like, we're going to talk about it in news stories. That's the great thing about Game Pass is I can play a 70 to however much the like Suckers Edition is dollar game and say, I put a couple hours into it this week and it's not for me, and I will uninstall it and move on my way, and that's great.
So, I did a quick Google.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, you can skip the practice.
Okay.
It's convoluted though.
Of course it is.
I'm not going to trust one website's direction on how to do this. So when you're in the pit stop, when it looked like when you were in the pit stop, it was like start practice.
Yeah.
Try hitting exit on that screen, and it might give you the option to skip practice or just exit to menu.
Oh, okay.
But when the practice actually starts, if you hit the start button and hit exit there, it will definitely give you the skip practice button.
Okay, I'll have to go check it out then, because I did a little bit of looking around, but we have talked about the poor quality of the internet lately, and it's a lot of like, Forza Horizon, practice laps of Forza Horizon, best game 2023. It's just like,
and the best part is when you search for practice laps, it tells you what they are for. Like, the game doesn't explain that to you.
Thank you. I think I can figure out what the words practice and laps mean next to each other.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll check that out this week then. I won't hit the uninstall button yet, but like, I wanted to talk about it because
either way, that is an obfuscated way of skipping practice,
right?
Especially like, when you have to hit the exit button to get a second option,
right,
to skip the practice.
Right,
that is
like
bad UI design.
Yeah, and it for most of these games, it's like, yeah, I'm going to exit out back to the career menu. So I'll check that out. Either way, I think if you're looking for that kind of simulation racing game, this seems really good. As someone who's not into that, this seems like it has all the pieces that you would be interested in for that. That's just not me. So I'll take some homework and check that out.
Ever since like PGR 3, PGR 4, I kind of realized that I like sim racing. I like arcade racing a lot better, and I think PGR was the perfect blend of both.
Oh, it really was. Like MSR and PGR, like, those are so good.
For the youngins among us,
yeah, sorry,
PGR
Metropolis Street
Racer,
yeah, and Project Gotham Racing. Those were so. That was the genesis of the Kudos system, which is largely, like
as you go around corners.
It's gone from Forza Motorsport, but that's kind of the lifeblood of Horizon.
Yeah, it's the skill points you get while you're driving in Horizon.
Yeah,
like,
God, that noise it made where you're like drifting around a corner and it's just tick 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 tick. Oh man. So good. I'll go check that out this week. I'll give myself a little bit of homework and
Check
then we'll
on the
talk
pit
about it.
screen for me as well, and see if you can do it in that pit screen, or
Yeah,
if
I'll
you
try
have
a couple. I'll try a couple.
Because if you
options.
have to hit the start practice, load to the practice, and then
Right,
quit from the practice, like that's loading
that's too
screens you
much.
don't need.
Getting uninstalled. Yeah. So we'll see. So I thought, since I'm struggling with all of my games this week, yeah,
Are these comfort food games?
they 100% are. Let's
Let
start
me
off
guess.
with, yeah.
I deliberately closed my eyes before
Okay.
the screen transitioned.
Moon's not looking.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay, you got one.
Final Fantasy
There's
4.
no Final Fantasies in here.
Okay.
Vampire
Vampire
Survivors.
Survivors.
I had some money left in my Steam wallet, and I thought I will spend $5.51 in my Steam wallet to buy Vampire Survivors on PC and both
So
DLC
you own it in
packs.
3 places now?
Xbox and Steam. I would. It's free on mobile, so technically, yeah. But I don't have it installed there because that would be a problem. I've been feeling the itch to start Vampire Survivors back over and like start filling out that checklist all over again. And someone asked the developers recently about like, hey man, is this coming out to PlayStation? And they're like, look, we just put out a giant update here and like we just redid the entire engine. We're gonna like sleep and rest for a while before we figure out our next steps. And I was like, okay, fair enough.
And also credit for them for having that answer. Like, dude,
Yeah,
look,
you should
I
be
get
resting,
it. You're
man.
excited. You want to play it on PlayStation. At the same time,
Yeah,
we need to breathe.
yeah. Like I really respect them a lot for saying like we're gonna let our team chill and take a break after moving to a new engine without any issues. So big props to them. And I've just been playing Start. It's also inspired by our most recent We Roguelike It game, the Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde that we've been playing, which is another.
You got it right.
I got it right for once. That's another Bullet Heaven game. Which is also, go pick that up and play that and listen to We Roguelike It. That game is
Like
that game is
$12,
something
I think,
else.
Was it?
Yeah, not more than 15. It's something between like 10 and $15. And I just it very much is that comfort food that I was looking for. It's like, yeah, I could play a little bit more Vampire Survivors. I'll struggle through the like 3 to 5 minute runs at the beginning before I'm starting to power everything up, and it's just, I'm here to tell you, Vampire Survivors is good. In case you didn't know, the most popular game of like the last 5 years. Still good.
Yep.
So, my other game though, like Moon so correctly guessed,
Is it bad that I get that? We have
no, because it's been long enough.
For those of you who might be new listeners, we haven't talked about Symphony of the Night in a long time.
Yeah, its time was coming up.
Yeah, Boston usually plays this at least once a year, and I
Yeah.
haven't heard him talk about it in about 2 years or so. So as soon as you said
Probably
comfort
right.
food games, I was like, "Well, Symphony of the Night is back, baby."
Yeah. So, I haven't, like you said, I haven't played it in a while. The last time I played it, I played the Symphony of the Night randomizer, which is what I wanted to do and get set up this time. Now that I have the Steam Link going, so I can play stuff through my PC. Someone is going to write in. You can play the randomizer on like a modded PS1 or PS2. I'm not going to do. I have a modded PS1. I'm not going to do that. I don't even know where it is. Yep. So, like that, it's. Don't mistake the thing here for lack of comfort. I'm mostly looking for the comfort food. So I got it all set up again. If you want to run the randomizer, it's really, really easy. There's a website, sotn.io, so it's symphonynight.io. You feed your bin file into it. It spits, please use Chrome. Otherwise it's very slow. They have a bunch of presets that all have the explanations. I'm running the safe preset, which is basically like, hey, I haven't done this before. give me something that's not going to kick me in the teeth.
Also,
And
I'm assuming something that means that it can be completed.
all of the presets they have can be completed, even the April Fool's ones. Some of them are going to need some kind of, they call them advanced movement tech. So it's a lot of like canceling a super jump into a transformation to do another jump, like that sort of thing. That's stuff I'm learning now because of one of the runs I'm on right now. But stuff like the safe one, excuse me, is going to be pretty straightforward for you to complete. It's going to be difficult because it's randomized, but it's not going to be an impossible thing. But so I'm halfway through my second run now. My first run went really well, even though how the game went, I didn't have a weapon for the first quarter of the first castle, which made that considerably harder than I was expecting it. Well, just it randomizes relics and items and equipment. So when you play Symphony of the Night, you go through the intro, you go through this, death takes all your items, and then the very first skeleton you kill drops a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, because it's randomized, it dropped like a potion for me, and it was like, yeah, man, good luck. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? So it's a lot of fighting bosses by punching them through the majority of the beginning of that game, which is fun because I know that game inside and out at this point.
Other than speedrunners, I don't think I know anybody who has played this game as much as you have.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it seems like the majority of people that are using the randomizer are speedrunners, but it seems like there's a lot of people like me that are like, I just want to play Symphony of the Night again, but not how I've been playing it for the last 20-something years. Which, that's me. I appreciate that. So that was a fun run because I never found the bat power or the bat card. I didn't find half of the upgrades for some of the powers you get. And that one actually required me to kind of bounce between the two castles to like get one upgrade in. I was like able to squeak into the inverted castle and then get a bunch of upgrades there to fully explore the rest of the regular castle, to then get the rest of the upgrades I needed to go back to the inverted castle to go do that stuff. So it was this fun kind of, when you play it normally, you kind of finish everything in the first castle, and then you go do the inverted one, and you finish that, and then you're done. There's usually not much of a reason to kind of bounce between the two. So it was nice to have that going. The second run that I'm in the middle of right now has been way more challenging from a progression standpoint of like looking at the map and saying like, okay, I have these abilities, I have these powers, I have this equipment. How do I get to the rest of the stuff that I haven't explored yet? Because I don't have the 2 rings to get the glasses to get to the second castle. Although that progression is broken now for reasons I won't get into. So it's this kind of fun like math equation of, all right, I have all these pieces, how do I get to where I need to go? Like, and I'm running, it's an emulator called BizHawk, I think it's called. There's someone who wrote, if you're watching the video version here, the left-hand side of the window they have there have all the stuff you've picked up. It hooks
so it, like,
into...
checks it off as you've seen it, essentially. Or
yeah, checks it off as you've picked it up, so you kind of have an idea of what you're still missing. That works with the BizHawk emulator, along with... it hooks into the map, so it will show little boxes where all the relics and like all the progression equipment is. And it will be able to tell you if it's gray, you can't get there at all yet. If it's green, you have a path to get there, and if it's purple, you can get there, but you kind of have to break the game a little bit.
Finagle some stuff.
Yeah, so like in the run I had right now, I couldn't figure out how to get sort of from A to B to get to the second castle, but I realized I picked up the spike breaker armor before I went through the like darkened corridor that has all the spikes where you usually pick up the sonar power for the bat. I was like, oh, well, I know this corridor by heart. I don't need the light. I can just use the spikebreaker armor to like maneuver in the dark myself and then get whatever power was on the other side of that. So if you know this game really well, there's some cool stuff you can do. If you don't, I'm sure there's a way I could have gotten around it that maybe I hadn't thought of before that. But it's kind of fun to learn. I'm also practicing how to do the super jump at an angle, because you can sort of break some progression stuff there. So it's really cool, and the website does a really neat thing where you can actually have it dump a text dump of spoilers for you. So when I'm generating the randomized seed, I'm also dumping out the spoilers at the same time, just saving it to a text file in case I need it.
So then you can, that basically tells you, oh, you need this, how do you get it, this is where it is kind of situation?
Well, it's really smart because they do it two ways. One is they tell you where the stuff is, so they'll say, Tooth of Vlad at Spirit Orb. And it's like, if you have a map of Symphony of the Night, you can look where the Spirit Orb is normally, and you say, oh, that's where Tooth of Vlad is. Or, oh, I need this thing, like, I need the holy symbol. Oh, okay, it's at this place. Okay, I can kind of figure out how to get there. But they also have a progression tree. So it'll say, you can pick up this, then that, then this, then use that to get to this and this and this, that lets you get to this and that and the other thing. And the first one had only one progression tree because it seemed like it was, the complexity was kind of that progression. But the one that I'm on right now has 4 different ones it generated. So it's a little bit more complex, which is a good thing, on how to get kind of from A to B. So I'm having a blast with it. My first run took me 4 hours, I think it was, which is a pretty standard run if I'm just kind of like poking around Symphony of the Night. And I think this one that I'm on is going to take me a little bit less time, because one of the first things I picked up was the Alucard shield, and the librarian sold me the shield rod. So at the beginning of the game, I am just mowing my way through like every boss.
One of the most powerful combos, if I remember correctly.
It is, yeah. So it's a lot of like, oh, I just walked into this room, I hit the boss 3 times with a shield, and I'm done. All right, moving on. So it's been pretty fun. I needed to join a Discord server for a clear save file, because without a clear save file, you can't skip cutscenes and dialogue trees and stuff like that. And in there, they have a randomizer channel. It's called the Long Library, which is a really good name for a Castlevania Discord server. They have a channel in there for randomizer, and they have a randomized, like they have a seed of the week where you can just, everyone's kind of running the same seed that week. So that's, I think that's really fun. I might do that when I'm looking to play Symphony of the Night and kind of looking for something specific to run.
I mean, it's the 4-job fiesta. Like, it is literally, it's 100%. The same thing you do for a different, that's why my other guess was
Final Fantasy 5. Yeah.
Oh, 5, whatever. Because that is the game that you play when you feel comfortable, because you know it inside and out, so you do the fiesta because that gives you essentially a randomizer.
And that's why randomizers are so popular right now, is because there's so many of these games that people love to play, but they're kind of sick of playing the game itself. So
Uh-huh.
they're gonna get like, I love Link to the Past, so I'm gonna play the randomizer. It's gonna be kind of a familiar game, but kind of a brand new game at the same time. So I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad I finally got it to work in a way where I feel like I can I have the setup all done, and I can kind of just
Oh.
play a randomized run whenever I want. So, if you're interested in doing it, sotn.io for a randomized run, and the safe they have like 15 different presets. If you don't want to do the presets, you can just do you can kind of make your own run, but the safe run is a lot of fun if you know Symphony of the Night. So, go check that out. That's all I'm playing this week. Let's go take a break.
Yep.
Let me close this blind. It's just killing me here, son. Okay.
You'd be so proud of me, Boston.
Why is that?
Because I voted with my wallet.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Remap this week a lot, trying to catch up on their stuff since they launched.
Yeah, I need to go listen to their stuff.
Next week is next line over, if I'm completely honest. But part of listening to Remap is Patrick does interviews every now and again, because Patrick is fucking phenomenal at doing interviews.
Yep.
That is his forte.
Also, go subscribe to his Substack. His Substack is really good.
I really want to subscribe to that, like, so badly.
Or at least I don't pay for it yet because I don't have the money. But the majority of his stuff is free. He just does like I think he does like a weekly thing that isn't free, and it's mostly about his family.
Okay, that's something, because he does a lot of like young person friendly video games, which
he
is
actually,
something I'm interested in.
He's actually been doing a thing that I really love. I need to hit him up and let him know that I like it. But at the beginning of every month, he just lists all the family-friendly games that are coming out that month and saying, like, here's all the cool stuff. I've seen some of these. I don't know what any of these are, and stuff like that. That's hugely helpful.
Yeah, so when they did, I think it was Gamescom, started right when Remap first came out. And Patrick went to Gamescom, did a bunch of interviews with people. He got one with the Citizen Sleeper creator about the sequel.
I gotta listen to that one.
They split that one out into an episode by itself, but they fed a lot of the other ones into one of the regular episodes.
Just
one of the interviews,
my podcatcher here.
One of the interviews he had was with Zalavia Nelson Jr.
Okay.
Who you probably know recently as the guy who came out and spoke about how Baldur's Gate 3 is not the best expectation for video games in the future.
Yep. And
got fucking buried in the coals for what he was talking about, despite the fact that he was making perfectly valid points. As a studio head, which is not something I realized.
Oh, sure.
He is the studio head for Strange Scaffold, which is a video game development studio.
Okay.
They are the ones who just released El Paso Elsewhere. Came out recently.
Okay.
The Max Payne-alike, which I promptly... He had an interview with him for a while ago, and then they had him on the show as a whole to talk about the Baldur's Gate 3 situation, and also to talk about El Paso Elsewhere. So I bought El Paso Elsewhere because it was like the way this guy talks about the way they run their studio is something I can get behind and something I'm good with. Also didn't know that they are also the creators of a Space Warlord organ trading simulator.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And an airport for aliens currently run by dogs.
Oh, all right. All right, I'm downloading all of Remap Radio's episodes except for the sports ones right now.
Dude, you should listen to the sports ones. They're pretty pretty great. They have Danny on to talk about Women's World Cup. And it's great.
I'll listen to that
No, wait, no. Danny wasn't talking about Women's World Cup. Danny was talking about hurling, which is the Irish sport.
Ah, yes.
Um, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy this game. It's $20. I'm gonna
Hmm.
play it eventually at some point. But the way he talks about his studio, they're trying to run and make games progressively, which is to say, no crunch. Everyone gets a good salary. Everyone gets,
A
the same thing
percentage
that
of
the
it.
Astroneer devs did.
Right.
Where the Astroneer studio is a co-op, where
Hmm.
everybody gets a cut of everything. Um, so hearing him talk about that, I was like, you know what, screw it, I don't care. I'll just buy El Paso elsewhere because it was like
Exactly.
$20, and I don't have the money right now, but I don't care. I'm just
Yeah,
going to,
support some devs.
I'm just gonna put my money where my mouth is because don't get me wrong, I want to play Assassin's Creed. I don't have $70 right now, but I
Hmm.
do have $20 in my Xbox account, which I can buy El Paso elsewhere with.
Thank you to Favor actually in the community for letting us know that Assassin's Creed isn't $70; it's $50, which is
Oh, is it?
is is better. But I
It's
still don't have
better,
fifty
but
bucks right now.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I had bad news recently, so I need to fix that thing first. That's
yeah.
2 years worth of fixing, so
Ugh, boy, yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Boy, it's 5 o'clock already. All right, are you ready to
Uh-huh.
do the other segment?
We only picked, the best week to have 5 games each to talk about.
We really did. Ugh, boy, yeah.
Next
All
time,
right.
give me a heads up, Boston.
Yeah. I sat down here getting ready for the show. I'd be like, all right, let's pull up releases, and just scrolling. It's like, oh,
Where
cool.
where is your news story for Sea of Thieves getting private servers?
We will be talking about that in December when their PVE mode comes out, and when the Thursday night crew checks it out.
Okay.
Because we already have it installed.
You know the situation. I have it installed on this machine and my Xbox,
Yep.
and you know my living situation.
Hmm.
And there are people in this household who desperately want to play Sea of Thieves, but I don't feel like playing Sea of Thieves with a bunch of a-holes on the internet
Yep.
with people who don't understand how to play video games.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
guess what's getting played the second that gets launched
Yep.
here?
Whenever that season comes out in December. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Are you ready?
No, but sure.
All right. Starting in three.
This is a Skull Island game.
I know. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of October 16th, 2023. Skull Island Rise of Kong comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC.
Shut it down. Don't have to talk about the rest of the releases, Boston. You talked about the only one
Yeah,
that matters.
Game of the Year, Skull Island. It's a third-person brawling Kong game. Man, I don't know. I don't know, man.
This looks like it should be in an arcade cabinet that you have to scan a card to get the next credit for.
This looks like it would have come out on the PS2 and the Dreamcast. Like, it's probably just a fine licensed game, but it makes
Dude.
zero sense.
Summer of Arcade.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And everyone's like, yeah, Skull Island was like, okay. It was $5. Sure, it was fine. But like,
Uh-huh.
man, I don't know.
Tell me that's not $70, because if that's $70, then we got a problem, dude.
I probably have bad news for you, but I did not look it up. I'd rather not know. Next game up, Sonic Superstars comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Consoles, Switch, and PC. It's a new 2D Sonic game. Kind of trying to be the side-scrolling.
Sorry, that trailer. I'm assuming that's the trailer.
That
is a charming moment.
Sonic's going between this game and the 16-bit graphics, like back and forth. It's pretty good.
Skull Island is $40. You're okay.
Okay, that's a little better. I feel badly because it's probably a developer I like. I don't know.
And it's probably actually a really good game.
Maybe, but yeah, I don't know. So Sonic Superstars looks pretty good. It's a multiplayerable 2D side-scrolling Sonic game, and it looks like it's only 2D side-scrolling. So it's not any kind of like, oh, now it's 3D, oh, here's an open world level, or anything like that. So it looks cool. It seems like reviews have largely been okay. Which I guess out of a 2D Sonic game, that's probably good. So
Is there a water level, and does it have the scariest music known to man in it?
I hope so. To both of those.
I'm still traumatized by that music.
It's like, no, please, my heart. Yeah. Next game, Wizard with a Gun, comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This is a Devolver Digital published joint. I've been keeping an eye on this for a while. Number one, because it's called Wizard with a Gun, but also it's a kind of isometric twin-stick shooting roguelike.
Boston, why would you say that word?
We got a lot of roguelikes in this list today. Apparently, that's the season for some reason.
Well, we still have 2 more games we can hit before the end of the year if you want to slot this into the schedule, I guess.
Hit us up, Devolver, for codes, please. This looks pretty good. This, I think this, you probably kind of know what you're getting into with a...
Does it also have survival mechanics? Because it looks like you can shoot trees.
Yeah, it sort of looks like it might be like kind of that same Don't Starve sort of aspect, where you have kind of longer runs that have a little bit of crafting and research and stuff. So I'm really curious to see what this turns out to be, because I think title alone, it's like, yeah, I'll keep an eye on Wizard with a Gun. But I'm kind of curious to see what this turns out to be in the end, because it seems, I think you're also in the same part where I'm at, where it's like, this game seems like it has a lot in it. That's interesting. So see what Wizard with a Gun turns out to be. Next up, Mike Mignola's Hellboy Web of Weird comes out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. This is a third-person beat-em-up, somehow roguelike, though I'm surprised at that. I thought it was a level-based thing. Looks like it looks cool as hell, man. It definitely nailed the style of the comics pretty closely.
Sable or Hellboy? Yeah,
it has that same kind of flat shaded, cell shaded sort of thing. I'm pretty interested in how this goes. I'm surprised it's a roguelike. I feel like maybe I didn't know that, or if I did, then maybe I had forgotten about it. But looks cool. I think it's probably the first Hellboy thing that has really nailed that look. So we'll see. Hopefully it's good.
How dare you diss Ron Perlman like that?
No, I mean in video game form.
Okay.
The movie sure did. Yeah, Ron Perlman was great. Next up, we have Endless Dungeon.
So I'm going to interrupt you right off the get-go here. Is this the sequel to the one that we played?
This is a sequel to Dungeon of the Endless. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
This is a significantly different game than that one. This is an isometric twin-stick tower defense roguelike, which looks real cool. It seems like it's a little bit more friendly than Dungeon of the Endless, which had almost no tutorial and was tough as nails.
It does have the little lasers on the floor, which I like.
Yeah, it looks cool. I think the developers seemed to take the feedback to the first game in stride, and I think it still has, like, you're protecting the crystal, you're ferrying it from one place to another, you're kind of pushing deeper into these areas, and while you're kind of juggling the crystal. But it seems like they really wanted to make something that's way more action focused, and kind of you're pushing a lot more than you were defending, like in Dungeon of the Endless. So Endless Dungeon looks really cool. I'm curious to see how it's gonna review, because I feel like the first one, I'm really the only person that liked that game.
No,
So
the first one was one of those weird things where reviews-wise it seemed to do not great, but it got this weird cult following from freaks like you who just
yeah,
like weirdly fell in love with it.
yeah. So I'm curious to see what this. I know this comes out on console. I'm interested to see how this is going to perform. It's been in closed beta for quite a while, and people seem to really enjoy it. So we'll see how it turns out here. But I'm pretty excited. Next up, Galactic Civilization 4 Supernova comes out on PC. It's a Space 4X.
It's Galciv. If you know Galciv,
Yep.
you know Galciv.
Yep, it's one of them. It's 4X. Get all the X's in there. So, next up, Gangs of Sherwood comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This turns out to be
Is it Robin Hood Soulsborne?
not really a Soulsborne. It's like a 4-player kind of like hack and slash cooperative thing. I thought it was going to be a Soulsborne after Lies of P. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you've got this this kind of royalty-free thing. Yeah, let's put it in a Soulsborne. But no,
That's the terminology I was looking for. I was trying to think of it and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, it's out. It's in the public domain, so I'm going to make it into a Soulsborne. This
Winnie the Pooh Soulsborne 1.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This looks kind of interesting. I feel like we don't have a lot of these kind of like 4-player, not super difficult beat 'em up action sort of experiences. I feel like maybe those haven't been super popular lately. So it's kind of interesting to see one of those. And it seems like a game that
this kind of reminds me of. The Lord of the Rings movie tie-in games that were on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
which were
yeah.
genuinely fantastic games.
Yeah, that's that sort of thing where it's like it doesn't have the biggest budget and it's maybe not going to be the best game of the year, but if you got a bunch of friends, it's probably going to be a pretty fun time to just smash your way through like a 10-hour thing. So, I don't know. Gangs of Sherwood looks pretty fun. It looks like a cool thing.
I think it's called Gangs of Sherwood. It's just like it makes me laugh because it's like the worst title ever.
Yeah, it's not great.
Where's the Merry Men reference?
Right, like, yeah, I don't know. Next up, Gargoyles Remastered comes out. PS4, Xbox One, Series, consoles, and PC. This is a remaster of the old Genesis and Super NES era Gargoyles game. And they...
Can I just make a request for people making trailers? Don't start the trailer with 1,000 years ago and then show footage of like a NES game.
Right.
Because that makes me feel like I'm turning to dust.
Yeah, like... And also, like, I want to see what the new version of this looks like first before you show me the kind of the older version side by side. So, people really love this Gargoyles game. It was not well received when it came out originally.
It feels like this is one of those games of that era where... I think this particular game might be a little after mine and your time. I think our equivalent for this is Aladdin and the Lion King.
Very much so,
that is our equivalent of this.
Yep.
I think the generation after us was probably this game.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's kind of nice that this is coming out, and it's nice that a lot of these older games are getting a coat of paint, and they put a rewind feature in there. So like it's pretty cool. But I don't have any sort of love for this. So we'll see how it goes. Next up, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged comes out. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. There's another one.
Didn't that like just come out like 2 years ago?
I don't even think it was 2 years. I think it was last year. I think the first one came out last year. They did put some new stuff in here. There are bikes in here. You can do shunting. So it's that like side-to-side bump you can do with cars, like in what's that open
True
World?
Crime. True Crime. The originator. Sleeping Dogs is the one you're
Sleeping Dogs.
Yep.
Sleeping Dogs. Yeah. And there are jumps and double jumps. And it seems like there's just a bunch of new features in this. So it seems like it isn't just, hey, we put more tracks in this one. $70, please. I don't know how much. Could you look up how much this is? I don't think it's I hope it's not $70.
I will look up how much it is. The first game came out September 30th, 2021. Almost just over 2 years.
All right, that's not as bad.
It's not as bad, but it feels like a cash grab, dude.
Pretty soon, yeah.
But it is come out at 4 or 5 years after the original,
right?
And this is $50. Oof, thank goodness.
Okay, that's a lot better. I mean, we were just talking about this during the break. Check out the Outcast about how it's nice when you can see a game that is definitely a family-friendly or a kid game. And it's nice to have something where, yes, this is a kid's game through and through. Like, the first one was very fun. I didn't spend as much time with it as I really wanted to. But, this is definitely a straight-up kids game that you can probably plop a kid into and not worry about anything in there, so.
Yeah, let's just hope this one doesn't have the microtransactions that the previous one had.
It had a little bit more in there than I was expecting it to. In a way, that was a bummer. So,
and about 5,000 different cars that you could buy.
Yeah, so we'll see with this one. I feel like they got the feedback pretty clearly in that first one. So
that's not going to stop a corporation from being a corporation, dude. And you think Hasbro doesn't want to make that sweet money?
That's fair.
I'm assuming Hot Wheels is Hasbro. At this point, I don't know.
There's a Mattel logo in the bottom, so I'm going to guess it's
That's
them.
the other one.
One of the two.
That's the other one.
They all own everybody, so who knows. Next game here, The Seventh Guest VR comes out, PSVR 2, Quest, and PC. They somehow remade Seventh Guest, like one of the most classic 90s PC point-and-click adventure mystery games, in VR, and it actually looks pretty cool and has the live action actors from the 90s game in the VR game, which is wild. It actually looks pretty good.
I could not play The Seventh Guest. I tried to play it. Go back about 2-3 years and you'll probably hear me talk about trying to play that game. It was impossible these days. This looks horrifying on so many different levels.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a wild thing. Definitely not on my bingo card this year. Also, I like how your hand in the game is just like a see-through skeleton hand. That's really good. So, yeah, I don't know. Seventh Guest VR, wild. Next game here, The Gap comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. This is a really interesting looking first-person horror game. That looks like it's kind of manipulating things in your environment and then kind of the environment changing around you. So it's definitely not my wheelhouse, but it looks pretty cool.
It's not a falling off the subway sim. Right.
Yeah.
That was a very British joke for those of you who got it.
That was a really good one. Search that on the internet. Next up, the Jackbox Party Pack 10. We're only halfway through the releases of this week. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series console, Switch, and PC. They're at 10 of this. 10 of these guys.
It's 5 new games.
Yeah. So still not making this into a platform, which I'm sure they have an interview out there of why they have not yet done that, but seems like
I wonder if it's the engine iterates too much.
Maybe it's one of those things of like, we probably want people to stop playing the same 2 games over and over again, but I'm not entirely sure. So,
okay, what are the 2 games?
The T-shirt one, the T-shirt one, and the wrapping one.
Oh, I would go with Fibbage and the T-shirt one.
Oh, Fibbage. Yeah, that's the other one. Yeah.
Because the T-shirt one is still the best one. I have T-shirts made from that T-shirt version of that game. And
the sequel to the T-shirt game is in this one. So, I feel like if I had more people, if I was a streamer, this would be a no-brainer. Or if I had a bunch of people that we would want to play in the same room, I feel like that would probably be a good reason to pick each one of these up. But that doesn't. Neither one of those applies to me. So. Party Pack 10. Next up, World of Horror comes out, PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. You've probably seen this already. This is the 1-bit Ito and Lovecraft inspired horror game. You've probably seen a bunch of screenshots and GIFs of this. Looks really incredible. Really, really inspired by Ito's work. And it looks pretty cool. Seems like it's a point-and-click adventure mystery horror thing.
Reminds me of Hotel Dusk a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's still in that vein, but with like the body horror stuff that he's kind of famous for. So, looks cool. I mean, that looks pretty neat. Marvel Spider-Man 2 comes out on PS5 somehow already this week.
I will either play it when it comes to the PC or never.
Yeah, so probably next year on the PC. I was thinking about picking this up, and then I thought I should probably just play Miles Morales for free on PS Plus, because I didn't play that, and then wait for this to be either free on PS Plus or significantly discounted. Because this game will be fun, but I'm not like all the way in. I haven't been like counting down the days on this, so
honestly, if I had the option, I would probably jump on this right now, because Spider-Man was my game of the year in whatever year that was.
It was so good. And Miles Morales is supposed to be better.
It was 08, wasn't it?
I actually don't remember.
I think it was 08, because that was the year that 18, I should say, not 08. 18.
Oh, 18, yeah, that's
because that was the year that Sony got my number 1 and 2 spot, with Spider-Man was number 2, I think, and God of War was number 1.
Right. What a good year, man. So yeah, I don't. If it wasn't $70, I might jump into it, but maybe I'll play Miles Morales in the other giant list of cool games I talked about at the beginning of the show.
I don't have $700 for a thick console right now, so
that's true.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, check out news stories here in a minute. Super Mario Brothers Wonder comes out on the Switch this week as another. Hey, here's another big game coming out this week.
I'm really tempted to get this game, dude.
My kid is really interested in playing this, and when she heard that we could play this together, I think that might have sold her on it. And she's young enough to not know that things cost money, so she's all the way into it. So,
because it's number one, it's a new 2D Super Mario game, and I adored I know they got repetitive and trash after a while, but I adored the new Super Mario Brothers games, because
those were great.
I played that 3-player with my sister and my dad.
Oh, nice.
And we got all the way through the game, and then on the final levels, it got to the point where everyone else had to bubble, and the pro gamer, this guy, had to beat the level while everybody else was bubbled, because they were so hard.
Yeah. I
love those games, and it looks like a new one with new abilities and new powers, and
the animation in this is so cool. And it seems like there's a lot of stuff in here based on the kind of configurable difficulty stuff that seems like it's going to be another one of these Mario games that has a lot of hidden difficulty stuff, because that's the stuff that people, I think, always really discount on these games. It's like, you can blow through the main part of this game in almost no time flat, and then it's like, good job.
Good luck.
Here's the really tough stuff. Here's all the extra levels we're unlocking, and they're rough. So that's the stuff that I think is really cool, and it looks like they've got a ton of that stuff in here. So I gotta pick this stuff up. Gotta check this out.
Is this $70 or is this $60? Has Nintendo did that bitter pill?
Nintendo did for Tears of the Kingdom was $70, but I don't think this is. I feel like it would have been a bigger news story if it was. I gotta start putting prices in here just for our edification.
Dude, that's a lot more work. Don't worry about it.
Start building a database
that question
here.
Comes up, dude.
Well, I mean, usually we don't have 50 games releasing in a week, so it doesn't really matter.
True.
Next up here, Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. I think this is an adventure game, but most of the trailers are all like, hey, look at this cool train. Hey, Agatha Christie, am I right? Here's the main character. Bye.
Wonder seems to be $60, by the way.
That's not bad. Especially if you're playing with multiple people, that doesn't seem too bad. So, I don't know too much about this. They call it an adventure and detective game, so it's probably just like a walk-around adventure mystery game. So, Inescapable No Rules, No Rescue comes out. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. Moon, I'm going to pause the trailer. Can you guess what type of game this is?
Inescapable, No Rules, No Rescue.
Just on title alone. It's published by Axis.
Well, probably a visual novel would be.
You got it in one.
And does it star the scary panda?
No, that's a different series which ended after V3. This says, on the island, there are no rules or laws for the contestants to follow. Their only imperatives are to survive and entertain the depraved audience of the dark web TV show on which they find themselves. I'm like, yeah, all right. Okay, an Axis visual novel where you're like on a horrible murder TV show? Sure. Yep. Sounds great. So
is it so I don't feel happy about the fact that now they have a real world thing to set this about. Like, it used to be, there's this scary panda who hates everybody. Now it's the dark web, which is an actual thing.
That's not unfair.
It's a little terrifying, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah. I think that's the level of comfort you need to look for in visual novels. Do you want the like science fiction ones that are definitely not real, or do you want the ones that are like a little too close to home? It seems like a little too close to home one, maybe. Yeah. Next up, Laika Aged Through Blood comes out on PC. If you're not watching a trailer for this right now, please go pull up a trailer for this while you're watching along with this. Push your motorbike to the limits, guns ablaze in slow motion style in the world's first Motorvania. Motorvania. This game looks incredible. Please, seriously, check out a trailer right now. This looks so good. Motorvania.
Why does this make me think of like Mad Max? The obviously Metroidvania style, and the game that was on the Xbox Live Arcade that was the Metroidvania with all of the fairy animals in it. And I don't say that disparatively. It was game.
Oh, I love that game, and I never remember the name of it. Yeah, the
me neither.
That one.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
it's one of the best Metroidvanias ever made.
It's so good. Yeah, Laika looks so good. I don't know, this one kind of snuck by me.
Trials.
I feel like
that was the other thing.
Trials. Yeah. Laika looks really cool. It's out on PC now. TBA 2023 for other platforms. But that looks really good. Watch a trailer for that, for real. And last but not least, Warm Snow comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Consoles, and Switch. Says, in this dark fantasy action roguelike inspired by Chinese mythology, a strange warm snow refuses to melt and plunges the world into chaos, turning people into uncontrollable monsters. This looks cool. It's like a top-down hack and slash roguelike action-y thing. So we don't always get cool stuff like this. So check out Warm Snow. I think
we don't always get cool stuff like this. Go away with that. Have you seen this year's We Roguelike It schedule?
That's true. We have a lot of really cool. Go play Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde.
Got it. And Atomic Crops as well. Please.
Atomic Crops. Go play Atomic Crops. Man. All right, let's blow through our two news stories here real quick. First up, the Microsoft ABK deal has gone through. Appreciate GamesIndustry.biz here for reminding me. This deal was announced January 18th, 2022, and we've been suffering under the will they, won't they through the entire time. Phil Spencer announced it with a trailer.
Please.
With like a trailer announcing the acquisition, which feels pretty gauche.
Dude, they built that 3 years ago. Come on.
kind of gross. But Spencer says, quote, today we start the work to bring beloved Activision, Blizzard, and King franchises to Game Pass and other platforms, end quote. Also, Bobby Kotick is like, hey, man, I talked to my buddy Phil Spencer, my new boss, says wants me to report to him to the end of the year. We'll see what happens after that. And then like 30 minutes later, news stories came out. It's like, yeah, he's out, bro. Like you get that till the end of the year and then you're out, which I'm sure ABK employees are very happy about. Although he's probably getting the fattest of golden parachutes coming out of there, which sucks. And it'd be great if that parachute would take him into the sun. So,
question.
Yes.
Actually, go ahead. You finish your news story, then we can talk about this, because this has...
I was going to say, I think this sucks. I still think this sucks. This is the largest acquisition in video game history. I think if you look at Game Pass, the Game Pass deal gets better. The price will probably go up. Expect that in the new year if I was to expect that. I don't think it's good for the industry overall. I think more consolidation is bad. We are definitely seeing the downslope of that with Embracer right now, where they're like, ooh, we bought too many companies, they gotta go.
That is the thing that flips this for me.
Yeah.
It's probably not a good thing. Like, let's just get that out of the way. It's probably not a good thing that it like you said, it's the largest like purchase ever. And it got correctly investigated. I agree with that. Incorrectly in some of the methods that they did it. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Sony should have picked a different point other than Call of Duty to make their stand. Right. That's Sony's fault.
100%.
I think for ABK, this is a better deal all around. I think for staff and employees of that company, I think being folded into the Microsoft subculture, like corporate structure, is a much better deal for everybody involved.
Yep.
Not mentioning probably the hundreds of thousands of people who have been allegedly, quote unquote, abused and assaulted at the hands of Kotick and the higher ups in ABK.
Right. Yep. And Microsoft is more union friendly too, which is great.
Yes. Him out the door, you're right. Golden parachute be damned. The fact that he's not going to be in this industry anymore will be a great thing.
Yep.
Just like Riccatello getting kicked out of Unity. Great.
Yeah, I'm retiring immediately. It's like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure you are.
Take your golden parachute, go live on an island somewhere, and never bother the rest of us ever again. That is my thing that I would like.
Yep.
Like you said, I think there are positives from this. Microsoft being a better, more union-friendly place. Yep. They even have expressed support for the unions that have been trying to form under ABK.
Yep.
I think Spencer is a much better leader of them as a whole.
Yep.
And I think, rightly or wrongly, Microsoft have had the approach for its studios of do what you want to do. We will just support you in what you want to do.
Right.
Starfield is what it is, but that is sure as hell a Bethesda game.
Yep.
And that does not feel like Microsoft were involved in that, except for the fact that obviously it's Xbox exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it even got delayed when it should have been delayed and everything like that. What ticks me off is everybody complaining about this one, but nobody complaining about Embracer until everything started to happen recently. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Microsoft bought one thing. Granted, that one thing is actually three things.
Right.
But
and they're all really big.
Yeah. But Embracer went out and hoovered up hundreds of little things.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody said a thing.
Yep.
Like, in this case, it's probably going to be easier to manage and survive and everything else with being three big things under a bigger thing.
Right.
Rather than a billionaire wannabe who's buying up all of this crap when free money was available and suddenly realizing the consequences is hundreds of thousands of jobs for the people Embracer bought.
And then when the Saudi Arabian money falls through, then, well, we got to start firing entire studios.
Yeah. With Microsoft, you will probably see the consolidation. You don't need 7 HR teams.
Right.
That's just part of life. I'm sure those people will be okay and move on to their things. You don't need several marketing teams, although from what I understand, Bethesda still has their own marketing side of things because they do things how they want to do it.
Right. That makes sense.
Because they still do the whole Bethesda thing normally of here is the announcement, here is the release date 7 months later.
Right.
Starfield was rightly delayed past that. But from what I've seen, they are still doing the announcement gameplay 7 months to release kind
Except
of situation.
for famously Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. The one time they step out of line on that.
We've seen a title screen. That's nothing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good and bad. Like, I think for ABK as a whole, and for me as a consumer, this is probably good. For the industry as a whole, it might end up being a net good if more unions are formed, if more protections are in place, if things like that are built up, which looks like that might be the way we're going. With the VFX studios are forming unions now. It's like, good.
The animation's probably going to strike next year, which they should. I think my larger concern is, I agree with all of your points. I think my larger other concern too is smaller purchases than this, which would be all of them. But if you're looking to spend like, I'm going to spend $100 million to buy a studio, that's no big deal. I'm not Microsoft. This isn't ABK. You can just...
You're thinking it might not get flagged under the investigation.
Right, like just push it on through. Look how tiny it is. It's a percentage of this big one, and that big one was all right. So
I think that's where Embracer is helpful, because Embracer have done all of those and then proved that they can't handle it.
Yep.
So I think people can then point at, this might be a small one, but look at what Embracer did.
You have 200 small ones, and you messed it up. Yeah. I don't know. I would love to be proven wrong. I'd love for this to be this big watershed moment where this $69 million or however much it was, it rises all boats at the same time.
You misspoke there. You did an M instead of a B.
Yes, I'm sorry. $69 billion. I got the factor wrong by about a bajillion. I'd like for this to rise all boats at the same time, but with the video game industry and capitalism being what it is, I'm a little gun shy about that. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, they now bring a whole bunch of IP under their banner, which was IP that Blizzard or ABK wasn't interested in the first place. And credit where it's due, Microsoft have got to have it saying, "Oh, you want to make this kind of game? Go make that kind of game. We've got this IP, go make it." Because from everything I understand, the Fable game that's currently getting made was made by people who wanted to make a new Fable game. It wasn't a case of Microsoft saying, make a Fable game. It was...
The Forza devs were like, hey, I want to make a Fable game. And they're like, yeah? You do? Oh, what you do? Okay, sure.
It's like, okay, take your shot. Yeah. Because it's also not the primary Forza devs. This is the Horizon devs who took over that thing from Turn 10. So go for it. It's much better than what EA is doing right now. It's much better than what Ubisoft is doing right now.
Which is open world games that are failing?
I don't want to make this episode longer than it necessarily needs to be, but I have a question for you because this has been rolling around in my brain all this week. And hopefully, if I remember, I'll ask Nim for the same thing. You have a studio who you adore, who you are a beloved studio for. And I can give 2 examples because these are the perfect 2 examples. Do you want to watch that studio slowly crumble to dust and fall a la BioWare? Or that studio gets nuked from orbit a la Volition? Which is the preferred studio death that you prefer? Because ideally, none. This doesn't happen. They continue to make the games that they like to make and that we love to play. But studios are dying. And I honestly think I would prefer a studio gets nuked from orbit than the horribly depressing story that is BioWare at the moment.
I think I'd probably prefer that too, largely because if you pull the Band-Aid off like that, you see all these other studios pop up where it's like, yeah, you know what? My studio closed. 4 of us are going to go make the game we've always wanted to make. We're going to kickstart it. We're going to do this thing. We're going to get a publisher. We're going to go do the thing. Where you have this like slow death of a studio, and everybody's kind of trickling off one or two, and they go off to other people, and you can kind of like you can lose some of the magic that maybe these really good teams have. So I guess, gun to my head, I'd probably pick just
Nuka from Orba.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Same.
Yeah.
I also, it makes me sad because I know there's never going to be a Mass Effect like the Mass Effect. There's never going to be a Dragon Age like the Dragon Age that we know and love anymore. Like that is a pipe dream.
Yeah,
at this point.
And that's okay.
And it's fine, but also it's really depressing because you look at it and you know it's late stage capitalism.
Yep.
Pushing these things to shatter into a million pieces.
Right.
So we'll get Effect Mass in 20 years, and it'll be by half of the BioWare studio.
Yeah. Yeah. Last news story here, real quick one. Sony announces a new PS5, a slim PS5 that's 30% slimmer than the original model, but still pretty thick. It's
that disk drive is hilarious to me.
Yeah, so there's two models. There's the standard version that has the disk drive on it. Now the face on the current PS5, the fat PS5, there's two panels, one on each side. This one's gonna have four panels, so two on each side. There's a standard edition with the regular Blu-ray drive, yada yada, and there's the digital edition that has no optical drive, just like the two different versions right now. Unlike the launch PS5, this digital PS5 of the slim one, you can pull the panel off of it and buy a Blu-ray drive for it, the Sony one only. You can't just like go to Amazon and buy a $20 one. Slap it on the side of there, and then you've upgraded your digital PS5 to have a disc drive on it. Disc drive is gonna be $80. The disc version will still be $500. And the digital edition will be $450. So the bummer of it is it's $50 more now to then put an $80 thing on there. So it's going to launch this November. Everyone in chat says that disk drive is an afterthought. There's no way they were planning to do that initially. So funny story. We've been hearing
there been leaks about the removable disk drive for decades,
for like
a year and a half.
For like 2 years now, there's been these rumors of like, yeah, we're making a detachable Blu-ray drive, and everyone including me is like, why? What are you?
They're making the HD DVD drive for the 360, dude.
Right, and I was like, why are you gonna do that? Like, what benefit is there for this? And like, there was no connective tissue between a slim rumor and the removable disk drive coming together. And as soon as they announced that, I was like, oh, okay, people aren't going to do this, but it's a clever thought because you're not going to spend more money on a digital one plus the $80 more instead of just buying the regular one for cheaper. So
is it USB? Like,
it connects to some internal connectors on the PS5. That's why you take the panel
use
off.
It as like a PC drive.
No, because it has connectors. That's why there's 4 panels on it now. The bottom right-hand panel comes off, and you put like a proprietary thing on it. It's just like it's as dumb as an idea as the storage on the Series X and S, like that proprietary USB connection. It's like, hey, you're just making the problem worse.
I've got that thing plugged in, and that thing's great.
Yeah, but it's too much money, and no one can sell another one for way cheaper.
That is true.
What a weird thing. Like it looks.
The difference here is like, yeah, I get it. Like, but if I'm buying a storage expansion for my Xbox, I know what it's going to be used for. It's a storage expansion for my Xbox. That thing's going to get plugged in and never getting taken out. Yeah. This is a disk drive.
Right.
It has so many other uses.
Right.
Like, and at least with the 360 HDD drive, you could plug that into a PC because that was just a USB connection.
Well, and it's surprisingly odd too, because I feel like Sony went the right route with the PS5's SSD, where they're like, just you buy one off the shelf that matches it, you slap it in there, you're done. Like it was an incredibly easy thing, and you can buy 2 terabyte expansion or 2 terabyte SSDs for those things for cheap. And then they go and they do this where it's like you can't make 2 good decisions in a row, can you?
It's still the same height as well, right? Because those things are tall.
It's 30% slimmer and 25% lighter. So that's better, but it's still really long. Like it's still a really big thing.
Does it have the twist anymore? Because I've seen like the fat butt photo of it, of the disk drive sticking out. But does it still do the twisty thing at the top where it looks like the marker from Dead Space?
Not really. No, it's more of like a straight thing. So, what a weird thing. Like, of course, there was going to be a slim console coming out because that's kind of how tech always goes. But what a weird thing. I don't know, man. Sony being Sony.
Does this feel like PlayStation 2 Sony to you? Like going into the PlayStation 3 era where they've just got all the ego in the world?
Yeah, it flips every generation where it's like, we did great on the PS2. We can do no wrong with it's the PS3.
PS4 Sony was humble.
Yes, they were like, we made some mistakes.
Sony is not humble.
No, they're losing their way a little bit again. So, all right. That's all of our news stories and about a bajillion releases for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at
Run Time.
That's right. I have to pee. You can visit us at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page, including a link to the Patreon page, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers, you know the deal.
That's right. You know all the good stuff over there that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Don't forget the audio previews. You can get a little taste of every episode. See if you like it. If you like it, $5 a month is a recommended tier. That gets you everything. If you have a rich friend, tell them it's way more money than that. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. Share us stuff on social media. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. I don't know where anything is. Rate us on your
show, dude. It's fine.
Favorite platforms. Buy a Rathalos and send it to Moon. Don't send it to Moon. Buy a Rathalos for your own home. If you're gonna buy me
something, buy me cold hard cash so I can pay my bills. Thanks.
Buy us something over at patreon.com/E1M1. Sorry that Patreon site sucks now. Please go feed your own personal RSS feed into a podcatcher so you don't have to deal with the site.
Yes.
I think that's it. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
What is happening? Someone's sending me emblem info on Twitter. Thanks. Appreciate it.
You got a separate hustle that you got to get going on too. Apparently.
That's right. DeciMMcollector.com. What are your titles this week?
Oh, I got a few.
Okay. I only have 2.
Absolutely horrific. I cannot stop myself. Camel with Wings. Face Tech. Warehouse with Engines. Sooner Than Sooner. Deluded? ? Touch Grass, You Big Weeb. Yay, He Got It. Fall Off the Subway Sim. Scary Panda, and The Fattest Golden Parachute.
I have 2 basic modes, a Camel with Wings, Warehouse with Engines. I don't know if you have any other standout. I like a Camel with Wings a lot. So
I like Warehouse with Engines.
I could be convinced for either one of those. I'm not married to either one.
They're the same conceptual thing, essentially.
Yeah.
Do you feel with Wings is the better dumb thing?
Do you feel more strongly about one or the other?
No, I'm good with either, to be honest. I really like Fall Off the Subway Sim, but that is a very British joke that not many people are going to understand.
Yeah. I would vote...
We can do Camel. Camel is fine. I already got something for it as well.
I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards that. Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 834 for October 16th, 2023. A Camel with Wings.
Get over your Starfield hump.
I'm dead.
Ha! I knew
Got
I would
me.
get you with that.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it. It's been so long. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah. 5-star run times.
That's right.